From our perspective, looks at the lives and behaviors of millennials, Generation Z, and the changes that are happening in our 21st century and the innovators that are making it happen. We will explore trends, technology, music, fashion, social media, business, science, the arts, faith, and lifestyle. We would look at their interests, how are they changing our 21st century, and what is causing market disruptions, and what does that mean? From our perspective, it's not just another talk show. There will be roving reporters from the Caribbean, Europe, and North America. This will be a show of learning, exploring, questioning, listening, and creative ideas. So come join us on Comcast, Verizon, and online.
"2020 has changed my perspective of life in America a great deal. I think the most important change has been realizing that we don't know how a lot of the things that we rely on today have come to be. And the history that we were taught, the majority of the history that we've been taught, was viewed from a white lens. And I've learned so much in the past 3-4 months, way more than I learned with my years of schooling on how some of these systems and just everything that we accept as normal now, how those things initiated and how deep-rooted some of the racial injustice and things like that are in a lot of the systems we depend on a day-to-day basis. So it's forced me to really look at myself differently, look at my education differently, look at the things that I value the most and the things that I take for granted and how things could have been different. And even though it seems we've come so far, we haven't really come that far. It's been very interesting, but definitely a life-changing year for sure. I definitely believe that COVID-19 has played a large part in the widespread global participation of Black Lives Matter. I mean, at the simplest level, people are at home and have nothing else to do. So seeing this on TV, seeing the things that are going on in the United States, on television, on social media, on every platform, has definitely forced people to take a side. And force them to confront things that maybe they've never thought about, never considered. But yeah, I think just the simple fact that we're at home and we haven't had the same outlets that we've normally had. There's not that many sports going on. There's all these things has definitely helped make Black Lives Matter as big as it is today. The change that I want to see happen in America really starts with the revamping of a lot of the systems that we depend on. Obviously, our criminal justice system as a whole is flawed in regards to its treatment of Black and brown people. And I would like to see some of the changes and proposals that have been made during this time actually come into action and really rethink how we view not just the police, but also, the law part of it, and the discrepancies there. I think it needs a whole revamping. I would like to see change in just everyday interactions. It would be ideal to have everyone, understand or have some sense of understanding of how race has changed how we viewed our lives. But I also understand that in order for change to happen, you have to be willing to change. So it'd be interesting to see when things die down, or if things continue, however this continues to go, whether the same fervor that people had in the beginning, particularly white people, will remain. I see change taking place in a variety of ways, from a variety of different sources, on a variety of levels. I think at the lowest level, when you think of how you can participate and how you can help foster change, we think of people who are protesting and bringing light to situations. At the highest level, you think of our politicians, you think of the people in power and the various organizations that we have in this country, and everyone in between. I think change taking place takes first at an individual level, acknowledging what role you've played in some of the injustices that have happened, and then how you're going to move forward and make the changes necessary. I think once it starts at an individual level, then from a communal level and up to an organizational level, that's how we see the changes. But it definitely takes self-work first, and then convincing those that may not be willing to do the self-work that this is a better way to go. I believe we all are responsible for making this change. Changes are going to have to happen at every level in society. From a macro standpoint, the country moves with our legal system and our government system. So the lawyers of the country and then the politicians of the country are the ones who are really responsible for making permanent and lasting change. And I think on an individual level, we all have work to do on how we characterize things, on the attitudes we have towards things, and what our roles are in pushing forward a better country and eventually a better world where everyone feels safe and represented. I think the most positive thing that's emerged from this are some of the conversations that white people have been able to have with the Black people, and the level of understanding that some people have gained, I think has been positive, because as a Black person, I think sometimes you just want to know that you're being heard, if nothing else. And I think now you're finally starting to see that on some levels, we are being heard. I think the most negative thing that's come from this is on the flip side of people who are not willing to have those conversations, and some of the hurtful comments or decisions that have been made, or the people who are committed to enforcing racial inequity in this country and in this world. But I think that you have to have the conversations, and there's going to be negative pushback anyway, and that shouldn't be a reason why we don't continue to move forward.
Yeah. Hey. Hey.
Let's just vibe it out. We don't need to fight tonight. Let's do this right.
Hey.
Let's take our time with it,
Yeah.
because I cannot solve this on my own. You won't be alone. Just put down your phone. Let's just take it slow.
Hey.
I know where to go.
Yeah.
I love the way you glow when the sun is on you. I know we disagree, but I want you here with me. I know the talk is cheap, but we'll work it out without a doubt. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out.
Hey.
There's no need to shout.
Yeah.
I know we'll work it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. We will work it out. Let's just vibe it out. Time is moving faster. I wish I was its master, so I could hold on to this moment with you. I know that God is working for me, not against me. That's why He brought you to me, and I won't let you go. You opened up my door, and it won't ever close. I'm different and it shows, and I'm waiting for the day when she takes my breath away. But for now I wanna say that I'll find her one day, cause I know that God will work it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. I know He'll work it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. He won't work it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. I know He'll work it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. Yeah, He won't work it out. Let's just vibe it out. We can't wait. I like the chase. Tell the DJ what to play. I'ma keep up with your pace. Let's just dance. Let's take a chance. We got time for a little romance, so let's vibe. I ain't got no plans. We can't wait. I like the chase. Tell the DJ what to play. I'ma keep up with your pace. Let's just dance. Let's take a chance. We got time for a little romance, so let's vibe. I ain't got no plans. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. I know He'll work it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's talk about. There's no need to shout. Let's talk about. He will work it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. I know He'll work it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. He will work it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. I know He'll work it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. He will work it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. I know He'll work it out. Let's just vibe it out. There's no need to shout. He will work it out. Let's just vibe it out. What's the rush? Cause I'm still young and I'm having fun. Yeah, there's no need to rush. Cause I'm still young. So just relax, enjoy it while you can. Yeah. So what's the rush? Cause I'm still young and I'm having fun. Yeah, there's no need to rush. Cause I'm still young. Yeah. So let's just vibe it out.
I think tremendous change has started with the murder of George Floyd. After watching that video, after watching someone die right on film, it changed a lot of people. For a long time, the conversation around race and blacks and the unfortunate treatments of blacks, even to the taking of the knee of Colin Kaepernick, brought outrage. A lot of people just didn't believe in it. But when they saw the murder of George Floyd, I saw many conversations beginning around racism, around biases, around just how we deal with each other as people. Change is coming, change is coming. because a lot of people are now beginning to take a look at how they deal with each other. I think they're taking a look at just the biases within them. You know, we have unconscious biases, things that we don't even know is there, but because the conversation has come about, people are now looking at the way they act or react to other people and, you know, recognizing that they do have biases. And so that change is coming. That change is coming because the conversations are beginning. And I don't think it's something that we should be afraid of. We shouldn't be afraid of the change. We should embrace the change. And the change is going to cause us to look at things a whole lot differently, even as Black people, because we have our biases too, and we treat each other awful. We're mean to each other. We do some of the things that we accuse other races of doing. We do that to each other. But because the conversations are starting, because more people are reading, because there are these daily news events and conversations, change is coming about. Question is, what change do you want to see happen in America and around the world? That's an easy one for me, but it's also a hard one to be accomplished. I've always loved Martin Luther King Jr. As a teacher, I made sure to always reference him and talk about him, especially during February and during Black History Month. But beyond that, I would always print his quotes and have them pasted around my classroom. And I refer to them often when I'm trying to teach my kids to be kind to each other, to treat each other nicely, to be fair, and just to be good citizens. And one of my favorite quotes is from his I Have a Dream speech, where he wished for his children to live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. But you know, that is so easily said than done. We don't want to admit that we see color, but we see color. You know, I don't know anyone who have grown up in America or most parts of the world who don't see color. Right away, someone comes in front of you, and before they even speak, you notice certain things about them, and the first thing you're going to notice is color. But I wish for a time where, yeah, we're going to notice a color, but then we go beyond that. That person who's coming towards you, you embrace them. That person that's coming towards you, the first thing that you do is think of them as a human being and not by their color. You still see their color, but I would hope that one day we can look past the color and judge them for who they are. We can see a Black boy walking on the street and not cross the street because in your mind, biases have been formed where, hey, he might rob you or he might hurt you in some way, you know, or you see a young Black student come in to class and you're like, before you even talk to him, you're saying, ugh, I wonder if he's going to do his homework. I wonder if he's smart. Certain biases just come into play right away. And a lot of those things, you know, has been put into a being. It's like part of nature to look at Blacks and to judge them differently than you judge other races. So I just would love to see there come a time where the color of our skin is not held against us. I want it where as soon as, I walk into a place or someone of color walks into a place, the first thing that happens is people are greeted with love and care and respect, and you just move on with life. I want a day when you walk into a store, you're not being followed by the manager, or someone is not questioning you about why you're there, or what are you doing in this neighborhood, or anything like that. I just need to see a change, and that's what I want to see. I recently saw a video where this black man was walking around with his son. He walked in a store, people began holding their bags. The manager followed him around. He was outside, people crossed the other side of the street. There was all these examples of how he was being treated because he was black. Then he dropped his son off to school and went to work. And the next scene that we saw was a courthouse. Everyone stood and then walked in the same young man. He was the judge. Everyone stood at attention. Everyone respected him. But because he had on the robe and because he came into the courthouse, he was respected because he was the judge. But on his daily walk, as he prepared to go to work, everything that he did before he got to work, he was treated like a criminal. No one said he was a criminal, but the way they acted and looked at him and the things that they did, made him feel like a criminal. And I just dream of the day where we can get past that, where people don't think negative thoughts as soon as they see the color of our skin. So that is my hope and the change that I would love to see in America and in the world.
That the peace of God is reaching the nations. We declare that the love of God is reaching the nations. That Jesus is the hope of the nations.
Not by might, not by power, but the Spirit, says the Lord. They may come against me, but my strength has become my song. By your power, you parted the sea. Lift the scales from my eyes, I can see. Oh, Yahweh, you're so holy. You have helped me in my story. Oh, Yahweh, hope of nations, you've become my salvation.
Says the Lord, they may come against Jesus.
toi sur toute planète. Yeah, yeah. And by your power,
You parted the sea, lift the scales from my eyes. I can see